Two guys in their early 50s with one dream, to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Pilgrims, we are back for the 2026 Masters Special, and I am joined by special guest to the show, Andy Walker, joining us from the rolling fairways of Mollymook Golf Course. Andy Walker, great to have you.
Buddy, yeah, I'm on the road at the moment. Well, not necessarily on the road. I'm visiting Ted from Mollymook.
Excellent.
Always good to bring the kids down to spend some time with Ted and Sue from Mollymook. So, yeah, it's good to be down here, back to my roots, back to where it all began from a golfing perspective, anyway. So, yeah, actually going out to play the Mook tomorrow morning. Got a 7 a.m. tee-off time, so I'm really looking forward to the Mook, doing some really good stuff to the course, I believe. The 13th, which will always be the 4th in my
No, it isn't.
Memory. Will always be the 4th in my memory. They switched the 9s around, probably, it's got to be 15, maybe 20 years ago, but I always grew up with the back 9, what is now the back 9 being the front 9. And the current front 9 being the back 9. So for me, and don't get me wrong, I think it was probably a good switch around, because 10, 11, 12, 13 is
brutal.
Sort of almost amen corner-like, in that you've got a big sweeping par 4 down the hill, sort of, from right to left. Then you've got the par 4 11th, which ends up with the water, or it's on the right-hand side rather than the left-hand side of the green. But again, you just cannot hit it at the flag, especially when the pin is to the right. 12th is a par 3 with water across the front. And then the 13th is a par 5 with the water at the front of the green. So, yeah, I did, when I was in the state Colts squad, I was talking to at the time, the coach for Golf Laws, the New South Wales Golf Association at that stage, was a guy by the name of Alex Mercer. And a lot of guys, certainly older guys, would remember who Alex Mercer is. Steve Elkington's coach. Coached a lot of the really good up-and-coming Australian pros as they came through the ranks. And Alex said that Mollymook was, at the time, the closest to Augusta National in Australia that he'd seen. So, big rap from a guy who knows a lot about golf.
I think probably our friends up on the mid-north coast at Bonneville would want to lay claim to, sort of some stylish resemblance to Augusta. But I've got to agree with you. I think Mollymook definitely has got a lot of things going for it from that perspective. Even just like the size and the scale of the trees in a lot of those places,
yes.
Like the enormous, obviously the dogwoods over in Georgia, but you've got the massive big eucalypts down in Mollymook, which are absolutely spectacular to line some of those holes.
Yeah, stunning place to play golf. If anyone's down in this part of the world, thoroughly recommend coming and have a game, especially the Hilltop course. There is the Beachside course, which is effectively a par 3 course that was converted to a couple of years back now. But yeah, Hilltop's it's an experience, and you just need to come and play it. They're doing a lot of, as I said, doing a lot of good work to it at the moment, reshaping the greens. They've just finished off the 13th green, and they're now doing the 14th and relaying the fairway and doing new drainage work and reshaping the greens. So they're, over the next 6 years, they're going to completely, I think they're doing every green, just completely sort of digging it up and reshaping all the greens and putting all new drainage in and all the rest. So in 6 years' time, it should be a very, very good golf course, even better than what it is today.
Well, it is a cracker. And to the good people at South Coast Tourism, if you'd like to reach out and cut us a deal after that infomercial that we've just done for you, there would be all ears. Andy Walker, we've obviously got a little bit of a different sound on your voice during this episode. We mentioned that you are down at Mollymook and Pilgrims. That means that Andy Walker's studio has not travelled with him, so he's on the portable earpod mics, so apologies for any sound issues that we may have throughout the episode.
I'm actually on the back deck of Ted from Mollymook's house at the moment, so very, very lovely outlook and overlooking the big reserve on the side of Ted from Mollymook's residence. But yeah, beautiful place to be, but yeah, don't have the usual setup that I would usually have.
Excellent. You might be on the back deck, but from where I sit, the background looks a lot like Butler Cabin at Augusta, so which is probably not a bad segue because Pilgrims, we're here tonight. We want to have a bit of a chat about the Masters, 2026 Masters. It's been played. It's been won again. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's been won again by Rory McIlroy. For so many years, we were asking questions about would he ever win a green jacket, yet here we are having a conversation about him winning 2 in a row and joining
it's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is incredible. Joining a very illustrious crew of only himself, Jack Nicklaus, Nick Faldo and Tiger Woods to go back-to-back at the Masters. When you think about all the incredible champions over the years. And also, I think, when you think about some of the illustrious groups that Rory has moved into in the last couple of years, obviously winning the Slam, joined a very, very short number of people to have done that, going back-to-back at the Masters, and now having won 6 majors. It really is. He's only really got Harry Vardon in front of him from a European perspective as winning more majors. It is an incredible career.
Yeah, and a lot of people are now saying that he is the greatest European golfer. I still think, Harry Vardon, has a couple more majors than what he does. And I think once he gets, and I think he will, I think now the shackles are off, I think he will get another, at least 2 or 3. I'd like to see him get to double figures. I think that would be phenomenal in this day and age. But I certainly think he will win at least another 2 and get to that 8. Whether he gets past that is I guess a question that's yet to be answered.
I mean, my question is, what happened to the missing decade in Rory's career? I mean, I know he won a lot. Like, it's not like he was playing bad golf. He won multiple FedEx Cups and, all sorts of things. But, like, honestly, when you look back on this, and I agree with you, like, I actually think the back end of his career, he's going to win more majors than he did in the front of his career. Yeah. And at the end of it...
He's only 35 or 36, isn't he?
Oh, he's got plenty of time. Yeah. But we're going to look at this...
Just to think, Phil Mickelson won a major at 50.
Yeah.
And Tom Watson almost won the Open at 57.
Yeah.
And Justin Rose, we're going to talk about Justin Rose today. He's like got 10 years.
He's 46, yeah. So it's just incredible when you think that we might be sitting here talking about a double-digit majors winner and saying that he essentially had 10 years off from the majors in the middle of his career. It's just incredible. It really is. Yeah. And when you look at Rory's swing, the evolution or the non-evolution of his swing from where he, the power that he had when he hit the scene in his early 20s versus now, he's not showing any signs of slowing down.
No, and he's kept himself in good nick, looks after himself, obviously, and has learnt to probably harness that power a lot more. I mean, in his younger days, he was, he's still erratic, I guess. He's very...
Oh, mate, it's a wild ride watching Rory McIlroy.
Very up and down. It's interesting, and I know we had this conversation throughout the, I think it was the last round of the Masters, that as for 2 guys that really don't like each other, Greg Norman and Rory McIlroy, it feels eerily similar watching those 2 guys play golf and just the emotional roller coaster that you go on when you're wanting them to do well and win.
Yeah, for sure. Without a doubt. Like the watching the 18th hole was just hard work. I mean, when you look at it and you go, all right, I only need to make bogey to win. I've got a 2-shot lead standing on the 18th tee. I need to make bogey to win. How many different ways can I make bogey on 18 at Augusta? There's many approaches. 5-iron off the tee, might have been an option to keep it in play it as a par 5. But no, take the big dog and absolutely spray it right with his worst driver swing of the day. And I tell you what, he got lucky. Where that ball ended up, he got very, very lucky because he absolutely was staring double down the face at that point and looking at a playoff. And I don't know, we'll talk about Scotty Scheffler a little bit later on, but I don't know if he goes to a playoff with Scotty with the way that Scotty played the weekend versus the way that Rory played the weekend. I don't think Rory's winning a playoff with Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, look, and I agree with that. I think it would have been an uphill battle, more so than the 18th hole at Augusta. It would have been battling more than just one hill, and I agree. I think that Scotty probably would have got the job done rather than Rory. After, double bogeying the last, I mean, I know last year he bogeyed the last and regrouped. Double bogeying the last to go into a playoff is a bit of a different,
very different story.
Though I think, and I think that would have probably been a little bit of a bridge too far.
Yeah, I mean, certainly all of the momentum would have been with Scotty at that point, but it was not to be because he played a fantastic recovery shot, went high up a big sweeping hook, found the greenside bunker. Interestingly enough, that cost Bryson DeChambeau the cut. I was thinking about that whilst I was watching because Bryson, of course, on Friday afternoon in that very same bunker, hit the lip and then chunked one out, which rolled off the false front. So it was no gimme up and down or even up and down as it needed to be from that bunker. But he played it well.
It was a different position to what Bryson was in. Bryson was more in the front of the bunker than Rory's more in the middle. Also different pin positions, sort of, front left pin position, whereas Bryson was front right, and he was aiming across the green, certainly for the second bunker shot, which allowed that angle to come off the front. So a bit of a different shot. I would have been pretty surprised if Rory had done what Bryson did, because he had basically had the whole tier and bank at the back behind the pin to aim at, and he could have just like chunked and run, which he did. But even further, he could have just chunked it up that bank and let it roll all the way back here, back to the flag, a la Sandy Lyle in 1988.
Oh, we were all thinking about Sandy Lyle in 1988, absolutely. But I'll tell you what, like at the end of it, having whatever it was around about a 4-inch putt to win. That's absolutely the putt that you want to win a Masters or a major championship. There's the opportunity to enjoy that.
I'm surprised he could see the putt, given how much he was crying on this.
I know. I mean, it's one of those ones where you kind of go, mate. I mean, I know obviously the tradition is to mark it, let the other guy clear the stage so that you can have your moment, but very tempting to just go up there and knock it in and not think about life too much because, I agree, the emotion was pretty real. But I've got a couple of questions for you, Andy Walker. I want your thoughts on this. So Rory, we mentioned before, joins an illustrious group of winning the Grand Slam last year. This year joins an even more illustrious group of going back-to-back at the Masters. What do you think are the chances of, A, Rory going a three-peat at Augusta, or B, Rory getting the double slam and joining, I think it's only Tiger and Jack that have made the double slam, and they've in fact both done it 3 times. Thoughts?
I think there's more of a chance of a three-peat than the double slam. I mean, he's won the Open once and the US Open once. I don't think the US Open suits Rory, even though like Pinehurst, he almost got it done at Pinehurst, but traditionally I just don't think that the US Open style of golf course suits Rory. I think he'll win another Open championship. I hope he does it at St Andrews. It would be amazing to see after, he effectively lost the last Open Championships at St Andrews. I'd love to see him get it done at St Andrews. It's got to be coming up in a couple of years. The other one that Rory's got a chance of doing is the Grand Slam this year, which no one's actually done the
Golden Slam.
Grand Slam. Yeah, so for 2026, winning all 4 majors. So
in the 1 year. Sorry, yep, I'm with you.
1 year. Yeah. So that's the other one that. So he's got the career slam, but the Grand Slam in 1 year. He's also got the opportunity to do that. I think that's a little bit far fetched. I'm not sure about the career slam doing that a second time. I think the US Open might be a little bit out of his reach unless he builds a massive lead again, like he had in his first US Open win. What was that, in 2014? I think at Congressional. Unless he does something like that in the first couple of rounds, I think he's probably going to struggle to get the US Open done again. So I would say a three-peat next year. I think he's a really good chance of a three-peat. Grand Slam in the 1 year, no. The career Grand Slam repeated is, I think that's probably unlikely in my book.
The other one, which is a chance, which I accidentally mentioned whilst you were talking about the Grand Slam in 1 year, is the Golden Slam. The Golden Slam's also on the table. There's a couple of people in the running for this. I'm interested in what you think about who's likely to get it done first. So,
what's the Golden Slam? Just explain to me what the Golden Slam is.
So the Golden Slam is the traditional 4 majors plus an Olympic gold medal.
Right. Okay.
So Rory, of course, has now got the 4 majors. He's left to get a gold medal, and his next opportunity for that, of course, is in 2028, which will be in LA. The other person who is a very real chance of completing the Golden Slam is Scotty Scheffler, who just has to win a US Open.
US Open.
And so he would be completing a Grand Slam plus a Golden Slam. So the race is on between the two of them is to see who can get the Golden Slam done.
My money's Scotty first.
Well, Scotty has more chances because obviously he can do it this year. He can do it next year. Rory's got
the US every year, whereas the Olympics are once every 4 years.
Yeah, and of course the other people that have won golds in the modern era at the Olympics is Justin Rose. He's got a couple more majors to win to get there. It's probably unlikely. And Xander's also a chance at the Golden Slam.
Well, he's halfway to the to a career Grand Slam, so,
and he's already got an Olympic gold.
Yeah, so that's a possibility as well.
Although you would think that he's probably got to sort out a couple of issues that he's got going on with his game at the moment. But I think that's an interesting one because that's one not a lot of people talk about. It's obviously it hasn't been golf at the Olympics hasn't been back for all that long, so there hasn't been too much history with which to play around with that one. But I think that's an interesting one to keep an eye on. But on that topic, I mean, I don't know, is there more we need to talk about with Rory before we move on to some of the other guys that were strutting their stuff?
Look, what I'd like to say with Rory, you look at his strokes gained. I had a bit of a look through the strokes gained, and round one he was 7.65 strokes gained against the field.
That's extraordinary.
Now that is just enormous. Then in round two, he was 7.85 strokes gained against the field. So his first 36 holes were just extraordinary. They were phenomenal. It was phenomenal golf. And while I don't think he drove the ball as well as what he would have liked to, he's scrambling and around the green. I mean, that pitch chip in on 17 in round two was just, and that as soon as it landed, just sort of went,
it was in.
That's got to be close, and it just never looked deviated from going in the hole. And it was one of those moments that you just go, that's just a Rory moment. You know, it was just.
I think so. I think it's even more than that though, because like that was an experience moment where he was in the trees. He was out of position off the tee. He's in the trees, and for a lot of people, you'd be looking at that shot and you'd be thinking, if I can get it somewhere up near the front of the green, I'll be happy. Now, he, after playing the course enough times and having the experience around Augusta, he knew that that chip from the front of the green is a very, very difficult shot. But he knew that if he could get it not just to the side of the green, but past the bunker and pin high or longer to the right, that it was a much easier pitch. And that's what he deliberately played for out of the trees, which I think that's a maturity in Rory's game we've not seen in years gone by. And then also when I listened to him talk about that shot after the round, and he was saying, that he kind of had a pretty good idea of how it was going to roll. He'd picked his spot and he hit his pitch, and he said, I hit my landing spot exactly. And I think, whenever you do that, you hit a pretty good shot. But, sure. that, like you say, it just never looked like missing. The other one that I want to point out, one of the shots I think where he probably won the tournament was his tee shot on 12 on Sunday.
That was an interesting one. And his caddy pulled him up or made him wait due to a change of wind direction. And I know we commented about that, and I'm sure you heard the same comment that was on the telecast.
Yeah, so he was talking about, and I'm trying to remember who the advice was from.
From Watson.
That's right, where he was saying that, on that tee box, you need to, if the wind is not doing what you think it should, you need to stop and pause and wait until the wind is doing what you think it should be doing. And that's what Harry Diamond helped him do by going out and standing in front of him on the tee box. Great piece of caddy work, to be honest. I mean, we've all been critical over the years of whether or not Harry stepped up in some of those key moments and slowed Rory down. And I think that was an example of he actually did exactly that. Like he got in his way and slowed him down and made him pause and made him think. And, that was the best tee shot that was hit on 12 in the final round, I believe. And obviously he made the putt, made birdie, set him up really well, and he went to 13 and, and put his nose in front. So I just think that shot on 12, it's a hole that's brought so many contenders undone over the years in round 4 at the Masters, but that one actually leapfrogged Rory up to the top of the leaderboard.
And I agree with that, but I think if you sort of pull it back a little bit, because round 3, he actually had a negative strokes gained against the field of 2.37. And to be honest with you, I don't think he was trying to defend his lead. I don't think he, the moment got the better of him. I think he just had an off day. And an off day at Augusta National is the difference between shooting sort of 66, 65 is what he did in the first couple of rounds, and shooting a couple over like he did in round 3. So I think that I don't think he was in a position after round 3 where he was going to panic. I think he just understood that that's what happened, and he came back to the field, and there wasn't sort of a lot that he needed to do to sort of change, his strategy in round 4. And then he got off to a bit of a poor start in round 4. But from the 7th hole, he just kicked it back into gear, and it just seemed to be a switch that he had from the 7th hole, where he just went, what? No, I need to get this done. Switched it all back on, and away he went. So from 7, 8, and all the way through to the end, he was pretty switched on. So I think that I think that sort of shows what happens over 72 holes in a major championship, in that you can't be on there's not very many players that can be on like Rory was in the first 36 holes. We're probably talking about, historically Tiger Woods, maybe Jack Nicklaus, who were able to keep it at that level for 72 holes. I think he just had a poor round and just struggled a little bit. It was just a little bit scrappy, and that could be the difference of half a dozen or more shots in a major championship.
It's interesting that you say that because history will show Rory as a wire-to-wire winner of this Masters because he was leading or sharing the lead on every one of the days. But what it doesn't tell you is those ups and downs and the ebbs and flows and all those things that you talk about. And I think that's one of the beauties of major golf, that he's played over 4 days, not over potentially 3 or less. So there's a lot of opportunity to make up ground and to lose ground as you go. But it was an amazing amazing performance. And congratulations, Rory McIlroy, 2 in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it was good to see. And as much as Rory wasn't the one that I was barracking for, he wasn't number one on my list, I was very happy to see him win. I think it was thoroughly deserved, and yeah, I'm really happy that it's worked out that way.
So who was your number one? Andy Walker?
Oh, well, so JD, obviously leading to the last round, being an Aussie, has got a barrack for the Aussies. Would have loved to have seen Justin Rose get it done. I feel as though Rosie was building through the championship, and then for some reason on 11, just got really, I don't know, he just got really conservative and a bit tentative, and he hit his second shot he hit a great drive, but then hit his second shot on 11 right, hit it over the green on 12 and duffed his chip. He just chunked it in front of him. He got up and down from there, which I think was good, but then 3-putted 13. And I think that really stalled his momentum. If he had even if he had gone like par through those 3 holes, I think he would have got it done. He was in front at that point in time, but he just seemed to, and the same as the putt on 17, hit a fairly poor drive, and I think he got lucky on 17 where it hit the trees and came out. Then hit a fairly poor second shot right at the green and didn't get up and down. Missed a really short putt for par. So he just seemed to not deal with those moments and not handle those moments as well as what he did last year. Last year he was on pretty much the whole last round. I think he did miss a relatively short putt on 17 again last year, but for most of the round last year he was on. He didn't have any of those tentative moments. So it was a little bit. Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed for Justin Rose again. As I said, I would have loved to have seen him get it done, but I think he will break through at some stage. I hope it is the Masters, either that or maybe the Open. It'd be good to see him win an Open championship as well.
I have a theory, okay, for what it's worth. And as obviously Rosie, we're both huge fans of Justin Rose. You could argue that I actually named my dog after him, Rosie.
Rosie.
Wasn't front of mind at the time, but anyway, we'll go with that.
Let's go with it. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think he's an interesting case because you talk about last year, he came from the clouds on the final day, nearly snatched it at the end. I don't think during that round he was actually really thinking about winning the golf tournament, or certainly wasn't thinking that it was his to lose. He was chasing the whole time, and had things worked out, that would have been great. He's been close so often. He's been the bridesmaid, on, 5 times or something along those lines now during the history.
Mm-hmm. I think he's come second or a tie for second 3 times, of which 2 have been playoff losses. He lost to Sergio, what was that, in about 2017, 2018, and then obviously last year. But he's had a top 5 times, I think, now. So
that's probably the stat on after.
Well.
He's done incredibly well. But I actually think what happened on this one is that he stood over his second shot on 11, and I think he started thinking about winning.
Yeah, because he was 2 in front at that stage.
He was. And I actually think that that the mind time traveled just a little bit to what it might feel like to win the tournament. And it doesn't take much, and it doesn't even have to be a particularly conscious thought about that, to move from free swing, chasing a target, hitting golf shots, to starting to defend where you are. And to me, and that's why I sent you that message when he hit that shot. I went, I think Rosie's cooked. You, of course, went into blind optimism mode of how he was going to get up and down from everywhere and make birdies on multiple holes on the way in. But I actually thought, when I saw that swing, I know what that looks like, and that to me looks like I've thought about winning this tournament and I'm defending my lead, which you just cannot do. And I reckon that's where it went wrong. And the reason why it continued to snowball is then you have that panic that starts to set in about losing the lead and starting to chase it back and doing all of those things mentally incorrectly that take you out of the moment, because it just seemed like for a guy that was playing so well, he just went completely out of his moment. His head was no longer where his feet were. And I actually think in his heart of hearts, if he looks back on it, it'll probably be a case of that was a mental error that he got ahead of himself on 11.
Yeah. And look, what you've just described is pretty much exactly what you saw on the TV. So I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I can't argue at all with that perspective, because it fits the bill with what he did.
It sure looked like it. But I would love to see Rosie get over the line for a green jacket at some point. It would just be amazing with everything he's been through. And it was funny. There was a meme. I can't remember who it was from, but I saw it floating around on the internet the day after, and someone was saying, like, far out, at least give the guy an invite to cocktails before the champions dinner.
Funny. Yes, but I don't know. Would that be more insulting than anything else? I don't know. I don't know.
It's like he's the guy that gets to come and do the pre-dinner toast and then leave before entrees get wheeled out. That would be somewhat heartbreaking. But anyway, like he's an absolute gentleman of the game, though, and I think the fact that he stood up and he answered all of the questions in the post-round interview is a credit to him. He was asked some pretty blunt and a little bit sort of heartless questions at one point about, I think it was something along the lines, like the guys just walked off the golf course, right? And he got the question of, like last year you lost in a playoff. Great to see your friend Rory win his first green jacket. This year the tournament was yours for the taking and you let it slip. Does this one sting more than last year? And it's like, that's brutal. Wow. That is pretty brutal. Tell me you've never played golf without telling me you've never played golf. If you're going to ask a question like that of a guy as he's just walked off the course.
It's the hard-hitting questions. That's what it is.
Yeah. But JR answered it. He respected it and he was truthful and honest, and credit to him. What a guy. Yeah. Like that's awesome.
And that's what he seems to be as just as a human being in general. He just seems to be an honest, genuine guy who's just doing his best in life, and you've got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, even if he doesn't win a Masters, he's still had an incredible career and deserves every bit of respect that he's got.
No, I thoroughly agree with that. And I think another great segue, Andy Walker, talking about, genuine, honest guys that are just trying to do their best in life and deserve everyone's respect. I want to ask you a couple of questions about Sergio Garcia.
Yep.
Oh, that's an epic segue, ladies and gentlemen.
It is.
Anyway, so Sergio, what's going on? Is this behaviour acceptable for a previous champion that's invited back on an exemption, that's 46 years of age and snaps his driver and smashes a water cooler on the tee box? Talk to me, Andy Walker.
Look, I don't know what would, I was going to say, drive a person to do that. It was a bad one. I understand that. Disgraceful behaviour. I mean, the traditions of the tournament means that he would get invited back. He obviously has a right to come to the Champions Dinner and to be invited back every year. However, absolutely disgraceful behaviour. And, there should be some sort of punishment, consequence for doing that. I think that that disrespects the course. It disrespects the tournament. It disrespects, the fans. It disrespects everyone involved. And, I get how frustrating it is playing poor golf, but, dude, you're an adult. So let's act like an adult.
Doesn't seem to be too much to ask. I don't know. I mean, I do think there is no, there should be never any consideration of guarantees to lifelong exemptions. Like you are being invited back on the goodwill of the tournament, the directors, the club itself. And I think that to just assume that regardless of how you behave, you will always be afforded that honour, I think that is entitled. I also think that in terms of any sanctions that are placed against someone that behaves like that, if it's a financial fine or punishment, I just don't think that would cut the mustard. These guys have got so much cash that who cares? And that's part of the issue. My view, if it was me making the decisions, I would be giving him a year off. Whether it's 1 year, whether it's 5 years, I don't know. But I would certainly be saying that behaviour is not acceptable. You don't come back next year. Nobody owes you these, these marks of respect of attendances to dinners or turning up as a player. If you qualify by being, with your ranking being adequate or winning tournaments or any of those sorts of things, if you legitimately qualify for the Masters, sure, you can play. But if you don't, then we're not going to have you back as an honorary past champion with that sort of behaviour for a year or two, just to make a statement that is absolutely not the way that you behave. And I think even more so as a past champion, it's not the way that you behave, because at that point, you're part of the system, like you're part of the club. You're a green jacket owner. You can't carry on like that. I just think it's an absolute disgrace. And
I think, and I just question what the legal consequence of that would be if that's what the committee at Augusta tried to do. Because at the end of the day, being a past champion is a legitimate qualification for the tournament. That's part of the qualification. So if that's what they've determined, and it's been like that over a long period of time, if they were to go, no, we don't want you back here for X, Y, Z, unless that is part of the criteria that you're expected to uphold, and it may be. There may be something that the players sign or have to agree to before they come onto the course. I hope there is. Then that's potentially a legal avenue to be able to go down. But I think if there's not that, I think they're going to struggle. Of course, Sergio will just go down and get a legal sanction and be allowed to play. That's it's happened before, unfortunately, in golf, and I think that's the path that it would create incredibly bad will between Sergio and Augusta, and whether he'd want to do that or not is, I don't know, but yeah, I think that is certainly they would struggle to uphold that on a legal basis.
Be an interesting one to explore. Either way, I do think that that behaviour just cannot be accepted around the grounds of Augusta or anywhere for that matter. The other thing, that I was going to say on that topic is, before we move on to other more enjoyable things, is that I did also see a fair bit of commentary that was out there around the traps on social media with people saying things like, he's one of us, we've all been there, and those types of remarks. I would like to say I am never going to be the one of the us that those people are referring to. That carry on at the Masters or at a local club on a Saturday afternoon is also just as repulsive. So no, he's not one of us, or I'm not one of them. So it's not good enough.
I have to admit that as a teenager, I did that on a number of occasions.
Yeah, but however, he was 46.
However, as an adult, I grew out of it. So yeah, there's a big difference between the emotional maturity of a teenager and being an adult. So yeah. And he is well past the age of being an adult.
Correct. Anyway, let us move on. Enough about Sergio. Sam Burns and Cam Young. I want to bracket them together, Andy Walker, in this conversation. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. See, I would unbracket them because I think I think that they are very different.
No, same guy. Totally the same guy.
The same guy.
Yeah.
I think Cam Young has huge potential, and I think that he will win at least one, possibly multiple majors. He's got the game for it. You saw that in the Players. I think he just had in round 4, he just made nothing. Nothing went in for him. He made nothing on the green, but his ball striking was still pretty good. He just, for whatever reason, we all have those days. Rory had one of those days on round 3 where when nothing went into the hole. So I think it was just a bad day for Cam, and I think he will get it done. And it would surprise me if he gets it done this year. To be honest with you, he's so close to breaking through at that level that it wouldn't surprise me in any of the majors this year that he has a W, because he's got the game for it. Sam Burns, on the other hand, I think Sam Burns could win a major, but there's still something missing. And I said it last year in the US Open, in our US Open review. When it gets into that moment, that where he needs to perform under pressure, there's been several times where Sam Burns just hasn't been able to get it done for whatever reason. And I think it's a shame, because I think Sam Burns is a phenomenal golfer. I like him as a guy. I'd love to see him win, but there's something missing. And that's, I don't know whether the moment gets to him. I don't know whether he's got a technical flaw. To me, he looks very open at impact. So I think there may be some sort of technical flaw there that he has. His hips are almost sideways at impact. His hips are so open, more so than most other golfers when you compare it side by side. So, I think Sam Burns has got a bit of work to do before he gets to the point of having a W in a slam. Cam Young, I think he's on the brink. So again, I would unbracket those, because I think they sit in different camps.
So I'm putting them back in the brackets based on that feedback.
Good one.
Because I actually would not be surprised to see either of them win a major within the next 12 to 24 months. I think both of them have got incredible games. I think both of them have sniffed around pretty close on a number of occasions now. There are reasons unknown for both of them why they haven't been able to close the deal at the moment, and potentially part of that reason is just the simple fact that golf tournaments are super hard to win. Only one guy gets to do that in any tournament after 150 odd people start. So, they're incredibly difficult to win. I think they're both more than capable. And I would not surprise me to see them sniffing around the top of leaderboards on, majors over the next couple of years. So I think they're definitely ones to watch. I don't know about the pause at the top of the swing though for Cam Young. Like, what's going on there?
Well, that was a drill that his old man got him to do as a young bloke when when he was learning the game and learning how to swing and making the swing changes that he needed to. And what they said is that apparently it just worked. It worked for him throughout the throughout the round of golf and in tournament play, and he just stuck with it. So it was a drill to start off with, but it just worked when he was playing. So why not stick with it if it works?
I just don't know how you can generate that much power, because he's got a huge amount of distance. I don't know how you can generate that much power with that big a pause at the top of your swing. But I tell you what I'd like to see, Andy Walker. I would like to see someone use Scotty Scheffler's footwork with Cam Young's pause at the top of the swing and just see how that works out.
Yeah, I don't think that would work well.
I think you might struggle.
You look at Hideki Matsuyama. I mean, he's got the pause at the top of the swing as well and creates enormous power.
Yeah.
So
less so now than he used to, though. Yeah.
Well, apparently he's trying to get out of it. Apparently he's trying to get out of the pause at the top. From what I've heard, he's trying to practice it out. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I just feel like those quirks, those strange things under pressure, I don't know how they help, but, each to their own.
Well, I mean, again, you just mentioned Scotty Scheffler. If there's anyone with quirks and idiosyncrasies throughout their swing, it's Scotty Scheffler, and it works for him. So I think that it's an individual game, and you just get it done as an individual, and those idiosyncrasies are potentially what makes your swing and your ball striking so good.
Oh, without a doubt. I still maintain, though, that, Scotty on his day when everything syncs up is obviously the best player in the world. I mean, the stats back that up. That's not an Einstein comment. But I do think as well, and we've seen a few times of it, is those days when it doesn't sync up so well, it can really get out of control, particularly off the tee. Anyway, I'm not going to tell Scotty how to swing a golf club. Unless he wants to shoot in the 80s, and I'm happy to give him a few tips.
Exactly. But I just want to come back a couple of minutes ago. You just mentioned about how difficult it is to win a golf tournament, especially a major. A comment that Rory made is that last year he thought that the pressure and not winning a major for so many years and winning the Masters was so hard because he was putting so much pressure on himself, and because he hadn't won hadn't won a major for so many years. But this year his comment was, well, it actually wasn't all that. It's just really hard to win a major. So
I did hear that.
I think it's a really interesting perspective change from Rory. That he's had this. Obviously, this pressure and this expectation for the last 10, 12 years of trying to win a major, but all of a sudden he's just realised that it actually wasn't that. It's just hard to win a major.
Yeah. No, I did hear him say that in the post round interview, and I think what he was driving at was basically saying last year he had the added pressure of trying to win the Slam. Like it was the Masters and the Slam and the 10-year gap. Yeah, and this year was no easier, even though he'd done it last year. Interesting, though, I think, historically, a lot of his major wins, he would bludgeon the field and get out to a huge lead and not be able to be caught. The last two, he's really had to fight for on the last 9. And I wonder if that's sort of also just unlocked a different part of Rory that we might start to see coming out over the next couple of years, with his ability to win in different ways. That isn't just getting out in front and running and hiding. But on those topics of other players, Hao Tong Lee, Andy Walker, looked like could have been China's first green jacket there for a little while until
he became Hao Ten Lee.
Hao Ten Lee. Hao 10, Lee?
Yeah. Like he was, and I know Scotty Scheffler looked really unimpressed with how long he had to wait. But you saw Scotty Scheffler going down the fairway at 13, and Hao Tong Lee was just nowhere. You just didn't see him until he got onto the green, and all of a sudden, I don't think they even showed any of his shots. And when they walked off, they just went, well, he's made 10 there. You just go like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure, look, and he seems like a good dude and can play, obviously, been building his career in Europe for a number of years now, and seems to have transported his game across to the US. And I think it's a good thing. It bodes well for the international game. But yeah, I think that one he can put down as an experience to, I don't know about savour, but certainly look back and maybe draw on for future reference.
I don't think savour would be the word, no. But yeah, learning experience potentially. Experience, I don't know.
Just an experience.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I think all round, certainly at Augusta National in the Masters, you can put down as experience, and the more experience you have, history would say, the better you're going to do.
The more experience you have, the more experience you have.
Yes, exactly.
So, no, that's fair enough. Someone that we haven't talked about yet, we've kind of talked about in passing, but does deserve a discussion, is Scotty Scheffler.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a great weekend. Probably lost the tournament on Friday, in fairness.
Yes.
But certainly had a fantastic Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, had a bit to say about that round as well. Felt as though the conditions or the side of the draw didn't favour him in that it was quite tricky on Thursday afternoon, and he said that it was, while it was easier on Friday morning, he felt as though the Friday, so that would be the Thursday morning, Friday afternoon tee time, got the rub of the green when it came to conditions, because he didn't have the wind, didn't have the apparently the greens weren't as firm or as fast, so he felt as though he was a little bit hard done by when it came to his side of the draw. But not that he used it as an excuse that he didn't win. I think he actually said that wasn't the reason why he didn't win, but certainly made the comment that, he felt as though he was on the wrong side of the draw. But, I mean, you look at that in Open Championships, you look at that in a lot of tournaments. I mean, that's golf, isn't it? Like, you can just be on the wrong side of the draw and you miss the cut, go home for the weekend. That's what golf and playing golf is.
100%.
It's an outdoor sport.
Yeah. Look, it's not all that often that I'm going to agree with nor quote Brandel Chambly as someone of great insight. But in the Live from the Masters show after that round and after that interview, he actually took Scotty to task pretty heavily on that and broke down his Friday round about the ways in which he'd lost shots during that round and made it very clear, in his opinion, how little it had to do with the golf course, the conditions, the weather, or anything other than bad swings. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because that's someone who has certainly been singing his praises for a long, long time, and he absolutely did not agree with that take. Probably some truth in it, but I think I don't know with Scotty, something feels slightly off. It's not a lot off, but just slightly off. I feel like there's a frustration in him that, probably came out in that interview that hasn't really been there. Definitely not there when he's having wins, but this feels like there's something that's just not quite right at the moment. I can't quite put my finger on it. He's still playing some great golf.
And I mean, it could be just the frustration of not getting it done like he was sort of last year and the year before. I mean, he played golf at such a high level for a number of years, and to not be there and to see those moments slip by, whereas previously, he wasn't seeing them slip by. He would get the W. I mean, you look at last year throughout, the year, two majors. Year before, he won the Olympic gold medal and the Masters. So, over the last couple of years, he's used to winning. He's used to being able to get it done. And he's just come off the boil a little bit in the way that just about all golfers do. I mean, even Tiger came off the boil at certain times throughout his career. When he played phenomenal golf for a lot of his career, but just came off the boil at different times. And I think that frustration is what is getting to Scotty at the moment, and I'm just interested to see how he deals with it over the short, medium, and long term, and how long he'll be in this position, and if it'll get the better of him.
I'm really interested to see how this plays out, because there's a lot of golfers who get to the top and stay there for a couple of years and have periods of dominance and periods where they are seemingly the best player in the world, and then they kind of not necessarily fade away, but they revert back to the mean. And examples of that might be someone like Jordan Spieth. It's a pretty good example.
Yes.
Probably John Rahm, you could say at the moment. That might be for other reasons as well.
Brooks Koepka.
Cam Smith. There's
DJ.
Yeah, DJ, another really good example. There's many, many of them that, whilst they've got that couple of years of a hot hand, are unbeatable. And then there's a far smaller number of players that maintain that level of play throughout their careers, and that's where you're talking about the people like Tiger, people like Rory. I think it's getting into that bracket now. Obviously Jack and and those kinds of generational players. And it'll be interesting to see which of the camps Scotty ends up in. You know, is he the one that has a couple of great years and then kind of reverts back to, you know, the odd win here or there, or is he a generational player that, you know, puts himself up in those echelons that he's dominant for a long, long time? We won't know, obviously, until the results come in. But yeah, it's interesting to watch.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's interesting that you talk about Tiger and Jack, and specifically Tiger, because they're in earlier in Scotty's career, there are a lot of people comparing Scotty's stats to Tiger's stats. And one of the ones was how long he can be world number one. And I think they were saying, like, Scotty's got to be world number one until about 2035 to get to Tiger's record.
Oh, that's insane.
That is a long time to be at the top.
It's just insane.
It's going to be interesting to see if he can maintain that level, if Rory's going to come back and take that number one mantelpiece off him. Certainly the way things are going at the moment, you would think that Rory's got a reasonable chance of getting that world number one mantle back. So, yeah, what I would love to see is Scotty and Rory go toe-to-toe over the next 6, 7, 8, 10 years. That would be phenomenal, I think, to see.
I mean, we've seen it. The last 5 majors, they've won 4 of them. So, you know, it's definitely on. But anyway, it's definitely one to watch. It's amazing. I actually think at the moment, though, that we are spoilt with the level of the game and, you know, the depth of the game, the number of fantastic players that there are at the moment. It's a really, really strong batch of high quality golfers that are running around in majors at the moment, which is fantastic to watch. You know, as we were saying, over the course of the Masters, it was such a high quality leaderboard up in the top 10.
Yeah, you know, absolutely.
And it was so good to watch. There is one other topic that we probably do need to touch on, Andy Walker. I had it in my notes before today's headlines dropped. So I felt like it was a somewhat Nostradamus-like piece of note-taking. But my question for you, and it's based on not the news of the last 24 hours, but it's based on performances during the Masters, or the lack of performances during the Masters from some of these marquee names. But is Live Golf dead in the water as one of the major global tours, if it ever was?
Look, and I've said this now for a couple of years, that I don't think Live Golf prepares golfers for major championships. It's exhibition golf. 54 holes is just not under the gun championship stroke play. Where you're coming down the stretch, playing with the people that you're competing with most of the time, coming down to the 18th, where you've potentially got a putt that you know is going to either get you in a playoff or win, or, you just don't have that pressure in Live Golf. The courses aren't set up particularly hard and I've never watched a Live game, on TV or live. So this is sort of just from what I've read. So I think that when it comes to championship golf, which is the golf that I love watching, I don't think Live was ever at that level. I know that there are those who believe it was. I never have done. And over the last 24 hours, obviously hearing that the public investment fund, the Saudi public investment fund, are looking like they're going to pull the pin on Live Golf. I can't see how it's going to survive. I mean, it won't survive without the public investment fund. I don't think anyone else is going to give the tour that sort of money. And you look at the golfers on the tour. I mean, most of them just aren't competing at the moment at that same level as what the Rorys and the Scotties and these guys are. I mean, and even you see Brooks Koepka, who's come back from Live, who's now starting to get back into contention and sharpen his game up for that tournament grade golf. Patrick Reed, who's been over in Europe playing on the DP World Tour. been sharpening his game up. And while he's faded, towards the end of the Masters, he was right there for the first few rounds. So I think that those guys, those golfers that truly have major, the major tournament aspirations are thinking, we need to maybe make a move back to either the DP World Tour or the PGA Tour. I mean, Jon Rahm is touring while he's still a member of LIV. He wants to come back and play on the DP World Tour, and I think the reason for that, I mean, it seems like he wants to have his cake and eat it, which I don't think well, maybe it will happen now that it looks as though like LIV's going down the gurgler, but. I think that those golfers who are serious about majors can't just stay on LIV. They've got to prepare for tournament conditions by playing in tournament conditions. I think to me, that's logic.
I agree. And as I've always said through this debate, I'm less concerned about the 54-hole nature of it, even though, and obviously they've changed that now. I think the thing that is more limiting for them from a competitive perspective is the shotgun start. And the fact that you are not coming up the 18th, chasing a clubhouse lead, all playing the holes in the order that the designer put them together, and having to finish on 18 and come through that stretch and see the pressure build as the scores come in through the afternoon. The fact that you might win a tournament by, making a birdie out on 7 as your last hole, it's just not real, and I just don't think that it just doesn't feel like legitimate tournament golf for mine.
I mean, can you imagine playing the Masters as a shotgun start?
Oh, I mean, seriously. I mean, also the other thing, like, to be honest with you, could you imagine, you lose the Masters in a playoff, but then you get up and do a shoey because you won the team event and you've got 3 little mini green jackets, and like, seriously, guys.
Yeah. Look, and I'm not disappointed to see what's going on. I don't think that LIV really gave too much when it came to the game. I mean, it gave a lot of people a lot of money. I understand that, but did it do anything for the game and growing the game and growing the game at a grassroots level? I think that's questionable.
I'll probably push back a little bit on that point. And I don't know that it's deliberate that LIV was setting out to do that, because I think the concept of LIV was pretty self-serving from the way that it was set up. But what I do think it did in places like, certainly places like Australia, more recently in South Africa, that have massive golf-loving communities and have been starved of high-quality international golf for a long, long time. I think that holding those events definitely did, give something to those crowds, and certainly it showed with the crowds that they were getting. And I actually think that's part of the reason why we saw some of the big names come out for the Australian Open this year, because it actually started to put on the map the fact that Australian crowds really love their golf, and there was a reason to come out and play some high quality courses in this country. So I feel like indirectly it probably did have some benefit. I also think that there has been behind the scenes probably some really good work that has been done by some of the players to use some of the money that they've earned in some of those markets to develop junior golf as well. So I think to some extent there have been some benefits, but it is what it is. I also feel I guess in summary that its trademark was about breaking down many of the traditions of the game. Seeing loud music being played, really celebrating people getting drunk around the course, shotgun starts, all these sorts of things that was trying to break down a lot of the traditions of the game under the guise of modernisation. But when you've got a game that is built on tradition, I'm just not convinced it's the right strategy.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think that the great thing about golf is the fact that it is built on the traditions of the game, and people respect the traditions of the game. Most people respect the traditions of the game. That it still has a very high level of sportsmanship. That trying to get an edge through bending the rules is frowned upon, and we saw that. There's a couple of players in recent years where that's come to light, and that's they've gone from being, I wouldn't say crowd favourites, but certainly gone to the bottom of the barrel when it came to what the golfing crowds thought of them. But you see that in other sports where people try and game the rules, and they try and game the whether it be the refs or situations in the game. That just doesn't happen in golf. Yes, people use the rules to their advantage. I understand that, and that's a different proposition. But I think that people who play golf and who are involved in golf still want to maintain that respect, and that respect the traditions of the game, and respect the fact that it is truly a gentleman's game. So yeah, and I agree. I think Liv was trying to move away from that with the music and the vibe, and having just being loud. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of loud cheering. I'm not a fan of drunken yahooing in a crowd in championship golf.
No, I think we're on the same page on that one. So Andy Walker, pretty detailed wrap up of the Masters weekend, I think. So are there any other topics you think that we've missed on that one?
The only thing that I would come back to that I just wanted to mention, and this is something that we've talked about a lot in playing golf, and this is around ball striking versus putting. Now, when you look at the Masters and you look at total strokes gained, Rory was on top with a total strokes gained of 3.55 throughout the entire round. The first negative strokes gained, you've got to go all the way down to number 24 before you get to the first minors strokes gained in ball striking. Whereas you look at strokes gained putting, which was plus 0.58 for Rory McIlroy, the first negative strokes gained in putting was actually Xander Schauffele, who came a tie for ninth.
That is interesting.
So that says to me that you can putt poorly and still do really, really well and come top 10 in a major championship, as long as your ball striking is up there and you have a significant strokes gained with your ball striking. So I find those stats, and I know we've talked about that before, and the whole, short game versus ball striking. But every time I look through these stats, it seems to be a similar story in that ball striking sets up your round, and ball striking sets up your game, and then your putting is really the cream on the top of the cake.
Well, I think that's a pretty good message, Andy Walker, to wrap things up on. Good discussion. I think we agree on a lot of points. We don't agree on all points, but we agree on a lot of points, as per usual. It wouldn't be a show if we agreed on everything. But anyway, that's love to hear what your thoughts are, Pilgrims. Get on the Facebook page. Let us know what you think. Agree, disagree, or otherwise. Certainly be great to hear you join the conversation and let us know how you saw the whole event and how you see things panning out for Rory for the future. So, Andy Walker, with that in mind, is there any other words of wisdom that you've got for the Pilgrims?
just one thing to do. Rock out, Pilgrims.
Thanks for listening to us today. We love hearing from our pilgrims, so please reach out to us through any of the links in the show notes. We know golf is hard, so we hope we can help you shoot better scores and inspire you to keep trying. Rock on, pilgrims.